What is going on, everybody? It's episode 139 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Please introduce yourself.
I love your little point.
Yes, it's now part of the program.
What is up, crisis actors? It's Mary.
She has a literal footrest out underneath the table.
Yeah, it feels like I'm at my dentist appointment.
I don't know how anyone could be that relaxed while doing something like this. I can't do that.
Chill out, Brett.
It's not possible. It's not possible. I feel like when I get if I chill out, then it starts to get like lazy and I start slurring, and it's like I gotta keep the energy up. So, by the way, we have a guest host today, and he is subbing in.
Hello.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Andrew, resident game developer at Timcast. Thanks for having me back, guys.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good?
Doing well.
I have to double check. I'm pretty sure I changed the name on the boxy thing.
Yeah, I heard last time I was Lydia. Is this correct?
You were Lydia last time. I think I changed it today. You think we had like all this time to prepare before the show started, and it would be just my luck.
You changed it. I remembered it.
You did? Okay.
We're
all
okay.
Right. So he is subbing in today because Dane is not feeling well. So please send in your well wishes for Dane.
Or send hate mail to Dane because
or
he's
to
not
me.
allowed to be sick. He's not a human being.
Yes. Well, that's very mean. That's not very nice at all. So we
He
got.
better be in the chat though.
Yeah. He might be. Actually, I don't know how I feel about that. He can't come in and do the show, but he can be in the chat. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that.
He can laze around.
Yeah.
Chill in our chat.
Dane, if you are in the chat, we are okay with that. We are okay with that. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. I want to talk about this article with Viola Davis, who, if you know, was Amanda Waller in the Suicide Squad movies. She's also from How to Get Away with Murder, which was a very good show in the first few seasons. But she has some peculiar things to say. I can't believe I managed to get that out without screwing it up. That I had to stop. She has some interesting things to say about the concept of escapism in film, something that I actually disagree with, and I think most of the people that if they're here watching us, they probably disagree with her takeaway on this too. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Rebel Wilson getting threatened basically by a news outlet in Australia, which is insane. And we are also going to talk about the show that literally no one is asking for, and that is a Reva spinoff in Star Wars because nothing else matters. Because
is it Reva or Reva?
It's not popular. That's her name.
Oh,
got him.
That's her name.
Owned.
Yes, that's
epically.
It's Bada. That's her. I'm going to call her Bada from now on.
Cool.
So yes,
we're so clever.
Thank you. I'm very clever. That's they tell me that. My parents told me I was special. We got that. We got Podluck. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you two are ready, we'll just get right into it. Are we ready, Mary?
We're ready.
Are we ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so it says, Viola Davis says escapist movies and social media destroys our art form. I can literally feel the elitist tears spilling downward as this is being spoken about, and I did change his name properly, so we're good.
Okay, good.
So it says, Oscar winner Viola Davis says social media has undermined her art form, especially as it relates to modern theatrical movies. I have less to say about social media in this context because I actually kind of agree with her in aspects of that, but I highly disagree with the second half of this, which is basically like your movies shouldn't be fun and entertaining. You should be lectured constantly while you're paying me money to lecture you. It's like these people really do come from the public education system where you pay a lot of money for a professor to tell you what a bad person all your ancestors were.
I don't know. I feel more sympathetic to her point of view, and I knew that this take would like bristle with you because you love escapist entertainment and I don't.
I will say that I understand the notion that as somebody who takes their craft very seriously and believes in the power of the messaging that film provides, I do believe in the art form wholeheartedly, but that does not mean that I don't find this take to be utterly eye-rolling and somewhat nauseating. So we'll get through it. So it says, The Fences and the First Lady actor delivered a blunt and juicy indictment of what it takes to market films nowadays. In a conversation about her content label, Juvie, at the annual Produced By conference on Saturday, Davis discussed the notion of escapism at the Cineplex and how tentpole movies can erode the nuance of storytelling. Boo hoo 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 hoo. My complaint here is more that they're talking about tentpole movies. I do not need big budget, multi-gazillion dollar movies to tell me what's wrong with the world or to tell me what needs to be fixed or some historical message. Can you do that? Sure. But as somebody who should be looking at, common sense, do people want to spend, especially in an economy that we're in now, where every penny needs to be accounted for, and you're only going to, one of the first things that goes down when the economy goes down is your ability to spend money on things you don't actually need. Do you actually need to go to the movies to live? No, you do not. Are you, in this economy, if you're struggling, are you going to the movies to be lectured, or are you going to the movies to forget about your life for a couple of hours?
But why? Okay, this is like what bothers me is the false dichotomy between brainless entertainment that's just for fun and just for forgetting about your life and eating candy in the dark, and then something that lectures you in a condescending way, when really ideally you're supposed to have something fun and entertaining that also has a moral to the story. But because we live in a society that doesn't have any morals anymore, you can't make stories that speak to people's real desires. You can also
just have both, right? Like if I'm in the mood to see something that's escapist, I'm going to see something that's escapist and lets me forget about what's going on. If I want to see something that's more serious and based in reality, I'm going to go see that. But the existence of all these, fantasy and escapism that she's going after doesn't take away from the other side of it.
I just don't think all fantasy is escapist, because fantasy is only entertaining insofar as like it's using your imagination and engaging you. You're not a passive observer of what you're looking at or reading. Like fantasy used to be something that deeply like required your participation to imagine what is going on. And now it's just like, we're gonna just spoon feed you a bunch of mind numbing CGI for hours, and so that you can like not do life for the time that you're in this theater. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think that coarsens our sensibilities and what we like expect out of entertainment.
My complaint would be that the writers working on these things are not artful or talented enough to weave it into stories more intricately, meaning that, yes, you can have those. And I think that a better place for stuff like that, if the idea here is to get as many people to the theater as possible, given the divided nature of the people writing movies today, meaning that they're pushing usually from one side of the aisle or the other, depending on where you're consuming your content, you're not going to get nuanced and creative depictions of the real world, or they're not going to ask you thought-provoking questions that actually get you to re-examine your positions. They're going to bludgeon you with ideas that tell you what the truth is and not asking you to examine it for yourself. So what she is talking about is a far more delicate and nuanced form of art that is not really as relevant for what they call tentpole movies, meaning the summer blockbusters. There's only a couple dozen like that every year, right? And the idea here is the studio needs to make their money back. If a movie costs $200 million to make and you start dissecting your audience into sections based on how hard you push a message for each movie, then you're going to start losing out on audience very quickly, especially when advertising tends to be a far less nuanced than the story may be, meaning that the advertising for the movie will tell you it's going to be one thing, and oftentimes it's more intricate or more nuanced than that. But they can't afford to do that with advertising, and the ability to get people into the theaters requires advertising. So for me, what I'm talking about is those stories fit more to me in streaming or winter films or smaller budget films. But what she's talking about here are tentpole big name projects. And I just don't find that the people creating these things today have the ability to do what a Star Trek used to be able to do on TV back in the day, what Star Wars used to be able to do, which was develop something that was an extremely intelligently written, a very fun story that also still required you to treat the characters as full-fledged people. But today, I just don't have any faith that they're able to do that. And I find it interesting because she has also participated in various blockbuster films like the Suicide Squad, like the Justice League. Actually, I don't know if she had scenes in the Justice League, but she had scenes in both of the Suicide Squad movies. And the second Suicide Squad movie is a movie that I feel did a very good job of being extremely nuanced in its ability to lace crude humor with a heartfelt story, right? But James Gunn is not every director, and not everyone will be able to create a story like that. So she's talking about the exception and not the rule. And it's okay, so we'll keep going. She says she explained that her tween daughter consumes big budget, big commercial fare like Marvel, which Davis says she's a fan of. But every time you're in a room selling a narrative, it's about how much you can create a story that allows us to escape. It's about how much you can create a story that allows you to escape. The characters then become a Mr. Potato Head, become bobbleheads. We forget who these people are until a movie comes along and blows our mind. That movie is very rare. The movie, thank you.
Thank you.
That movie that blows your mind is a very rare exception, and they still try. They still try to do this every so often, but I don't feel that it tends to work. And that's just my opinion, that complaining about the escapist stuff, especially in a world where the people watching these things have a right to have an opinion and have a right to vote with their wallet about what they're going to go see. And I think that what she's saying kind of lacks the nuance of that people vote by going and repeatedly saying, Spider-Man No Way Home is an objectively popcorn movie that has, and they're putting it back in theaters. It's at $1.9 billion. Okay, Top Gun Maverick is an average, well, I would say an above average movie with a decent story about a man in time who has who's past the pinnacle of his career in trying to figure out who he is now that everything is changing, right? And these movies are making great money. I wouldn't call Top Gun, just because Top Gun had great blockbuster scenes like the stuff in the aircraft, doesn't make it a popcorn flick. At least I don't see that movie that way.
I don't think she would characterize it that way. I think she's mainly referring to the Marvel type movies. And I'm skeptical of the idea that you can vote with your dollar, because I think the quality of the people producing the movies, the writers and the actors, is lowering, and then also like the expectations of the audience are lowering. The audience, I don't know if like today's audience would even be prepared to consume media that actually meant anything.
Well, Spider-Man No Way Home made a bunch of money, a bunch more than the other Marvel movies, so there is a distinct difference there. That character resonates with more people, therefore that makes 1.9 billion, whereas Shang-Chi makes 500 million or 600 million. Is that still an insane amount of money? Yeah, but at a budget of $250 million, you add $125 million for the marketing, that's really not a whole lot of money. A billion is kind of the baseline for a lot of those movies. So you do vote, like Jurassic World. We talked about that this weekend. So Jurassic World Dominion was objectively, in my opinion, a below average movie, but is utterly inoffensive to everyone who goes and sees it if all you're looking for, and you know ahead of time what you're getting into by going to see that movie, right? So when they make these movies that are for less money, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but if we're talking about movies that are like the musicals, we talked about what was the West Side Story came out. Objectively awful movie, made no money, lost almost $100 million. People don't care to go and see, especially when they know, when Steven Spielberg says stuff like, we didn't add Spanish subtitles because it would be bad.
What?
Yes, they didn't add.
What does that mean?
The idea was like basically like if you can't read the Spanish subtitles, that's your problem, and you're bad for not being able to read the Spanish subtitles.
You're bad for not being able to speak a different language.
Yes. He said it would be a strike against inclusivity if they added Spanish subtitles, because Hollywood is full of insane people. Okay? When Hollywood's making decisions like that, I look at Spider-Man No Way Home being returning to theaters with added footage, even though it already made $1.9 billion. I'm looking at Jurassic World, which is on the third of its franchise and made $143 million, which is barely less than the previous one. And with most blockbusters, law of diminishing returns applies. These movies are proving that people do not care about streamlined messaging in their films, at least during the summer months. Maybe you get more discerning moviegoers, because if you're going to go out in the middle of winter to go see a movie anyways, maybe you're a more discerning film goer. But in the summer, I would posit that most of it is parents who just want their kids to shut up for a couple of hours, and adults who just want to get out of the house and want to do something. And I think that they need to pay attention to what the customers say, because then you don't have as many movies that bomb, like a West Side Story bombs. That is an inability to read your audience and know what they want.
I mean, but that's just a bad movie. I don't think
Full
it
of
was
message.
heavy on messaging other than,
It was.
I mean, how so?
It's okay. We should review. Maybe we review it on the channel. We'll watch.
We're
it
a little late.
We'll watch it sometime.
I mean, I don't like the idea that some movies don't have messaging and others do. Like
Or more
every
artfully
single
done.
thing in media has messaging in it. Whether or not you realize that is the difference.
Then it's about how well it's integrated into the script, right? Okay, so we'll go down here a little bit farther, and she makes this more about the concept of representation, meaning like she talks about. She says social media has taken over the defining of this art form. I think the word escapism is something interesting. The goal of all of us is to sit in a movie with the popcorn and Sour Patch Kids and forget about our lives. But literally, it destroys our art form. It's part of your art form. It doesn't have to be all of your art form, but it's part of it.
This and the Mr. Potato headline, like that just seems so dismissive to me.
Yes.
Like if you're gonna try to convince people that escapism is not everything you should be watching, this is not the approach to take.
No. Well, listen, my biggest issue with most of this is they don't ingratiate themselves to the average person very well.
Viola Davis is speaking on this when, if she were, in charge of the types of movies that we saw, I don't think she would do a great job of making stories that are meaningful or impactful in any way.
Yeah.
It would still be surface level. It would just be preachy.
Yes.
I wanted to read a few of the comments that people left, because those are like...
We'll get to that real quick. I do agree with part of what she says here about stories rooted in reality, meaning that not everything needs to be sci-fi. Not everything
Sure.
needs
No,
to
but
be...
not everything is, and that's what I'm saying. We
But
can
you
have
can
both.
you can... There's like a false dichotomy between things that are fun, entertaining, and things that are meaningful.
And this is where she gets into it about making it about representation. She says, Davis says those kinds of prestige projects exist for seeing ourselves, our mess, but those narratives usually don't have people in it who look like us. It's a resistance to our humanity, which I think is an extremely hyperbolic and over-the-top line. Hollywood has never been more diverse than it is now. And
is she talking about like superheroes and like also just CGI like animal characters?
I don't know.
Being like a way to just
Thank you.
mask interaction, like not show human interaction in film as much.
The comment says, but those narratives usually don't have people in it who look like us. It's a resistance to our humanity. I don't agree. I think that making a movie with people that look like when Jordan Peele makes movies with people that don't look like me, that is not a resistance to my humanity. It's the story he wants to tell. And that's good. That's great. That's what you should do.
Okay.
You should make the movies that are important to you. But it does not in any way change the fact that I believe that people do vote with their wallets and they want escapist entertainment. Is that good for us?
They want escapist entertainment because they have been conditioned to want to distract themselves from their lives, because life right now it like sucks.
Yes.
And
so this is her inability to read the room.
But it's like, I don't think we should be framing that as a good thing and like what the people want, quote unquote.
Thank you.
That's not what people want. They don't want to distract themselves from life. They want life to not be so hellish that they have to distract themselves in the first place. So maybe they'd be more open to stories that actually have moral messages if we had a society that like cared about those things at all,
or if we had storytellers that could tell them in an artful way.
If they were capable of doing that.
But they are not.
But they are not.
So for the time being, if they want to make their money, they're going to have to...
For the time being, we have to watch... Like,
Jurassic World Dominion.
Jurassic World
Strap
Dominion?
in.
Like, no, I don't want to.
Guys, me and Mary will never agree with this. I love these types of movies, well knowing that, though in a lot of ways, like you can watch a movie like that, and yes, it's dumb and stupid. But if you look at it and you actually analyze what you're watching, there's also stories of family. There's stories of there's Bryce Dallas Howard's character and Chris Pratt's character find themselves with a child. However ridiculous and convoluted the story is.
I found Jurassic World Dominion to be very heavy on messaging. Maybe you didn't, but on messaging about like science and
yes.
How far is too far. I
That's a core theme to
I didn't
the
think
movies
that
of
was
the
a
past.
mindless entertainment type of movie in all aspects.
I mean, that's been the theme of those movies since the
Yeah.
original.
And the idea should be that it's there if you're smart enough to want to look for it.
It wasn't, but it wasn't raising a question. It was giving you their conclusion.
And that's a problem. And that's like they're not
That's
asking
why I'm
you.
saying it's not a popcorn movie. They're just trying to slip in their own conclusions so that you accept it
And
unthinkingly.
because most people who are going there don't really care about just because you can. Does that mean you should?
But it still
most people
informs
just
their
want to watch
opinions.
dinosaurs bite people in half.
Yes, but it still is informing their opinions.
Yes, and you're right.
Unwittingly, which I resent.
They're answering it rather than posing the question, right?
Yeah.
So you want to read some of the comments that you thought were really
They're
funny?
pretty funny. Someone said, God forbid we want to be entertained. Nope, we must watch whatever depressing, plotting, soul-crushing film you're in because you want to say something.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the same reason why I tell my boss that I should be able to hunt our customers for sport. To do otherwise crushes our industry.
Perfect.
Most movies have always been escapism. People go to movies to forget about their crazy lives for 1.5 hours. Not everyone wants deep, thoughtful movies all the time.
And I think the key word there is all the time. The idea is that those movies have a place, but does the smart person bet their $250 million budget on that movie? Mm-hmm. That's my question. Do you take that movie to a smaller director and you let them do that on the 50 to, well, not even, that's ridiculous, on the $100 million budget movie that comes out in an off month and put your messaging there? Your attempt to say something, as the person in the comments said, right? Do you put it in that movie, or do you put it in the movie that you just leveraged $250 million plus $125 million in advertising on to do so? Not every movie can do that. Like you said, Jurassic World clumsily tried to address some of those concepts. Thank you. Whether we're talking about environmentalism or the destruction of the planet or science or like there was the really funny line where the guy's like, science is truth. And I just
We're
literally
finding truth in the rocks or something.
I just rolled my eyes. I still had fun at the movie, but I just rolled my eyes.
I get it, but I almost resent the subtle ways they do it more because you're just supposed to overlook it. Like, it's more subversive that way.
I think the idea is that if you're somebody who wants to look deeper, you should be able to find it, but it has to kind of be a good movie for the people who are just watching, because it's not even just about looking for it, but not everybody picks things up. Not everybody experiences story the same way. A lot of times I found that the things that the movies that I found that really spoke to me on a deeper level, I didn't catch until the third or fourth time I watched it. Is that me looking farther into it than maybe I need to? I don't think so, because I also think I'm kind of slow. So maybe other people picked up on it sooner than me. But I like the idea that you watch it the first time and it can entertain you purely on a base level. But then you get more from it the more you watch it. But most movies these days, and this is a problem of these escapist films too, is that they don't have a lot of rewatch value. It's not something I want to watch multiple times.
I haven't seen a movie in theaters I would rewatch in like a very long time. Maybe you would rewatch Maverick though.
I will rewatch Maverick, and I probably would rewatch Sonic the Hedgehog 2 once. Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
You would?
Probably.
I don't know if I believe you.
I maybe Father Stew if it was on TV, but I probably wouldn't go searching for it. Mm-hmm. So there's some super chats.
Yes. Waffles Sensei said, the patron saint of White Boy Summer getting sick? Likely story, PCC. We know that Saint Dane is waging a holy war in our name to protect us from the dark forces of this world. We stand with you, Dane.
He is likely standing right side by side with Chet Hanks as they battle demon forces right this minute.
He also said, I'm actually offended by movies that are afraid to be offensive. When you go 50-50 on a movie trying not to offend anyone, you end up making it boring, bland, and unmemorable. Make movies meaningful.
It was better. I was watching
like that.
Some people, I see a lot of people post like old Modern Family like scenes and stuff like that. It was better when you worked harder to offend everyone rather than not offend anyone. Let's get back to that. You should make everyone a little bit angry, and I think people would be a lot more engaged.
Mm-hmm. Brody Blado said, I sent some fan mail to Ian that I put tons of effort into that I know he will absolutely love. D&D stuff. Arrived on the 11th. Wasn't in final unboxing video, but you have it already. Make sure he gets it at whatever your ad is on Instagram. I mean, that's cool and all, but we're not in charge of fan mail.
Nope, thank you.
Thank you. I see like comments that are reacting to things we said, but obviously like not timed the same as our conversation. So I don't know. Okay. They're saying like one of them, Waffle Sensei, said based, Mary, based, and I don't know what he was saying is based.
Well, you're pushing back on me, who's probably taking the more basic approach.
Well, my line of thinking is just like all movies are trying to say something. It's just whether or not you notice it. Yeah. Caper2X said, escapism is the basis for Tinseltown. What does that mean?
The idea that Hollywood exists because of escapism, that movies are supposed to distract you from the real world. Mary's problem with it is that she doesn't think that they should be just a distraction.
The ladies off. What? Hey, Mary has some color today. Thanks.
Wait a second.
I think.
Did anyone check at Dane for puncture bites? She's talking about Viola Davis is off in the article.
St. Miles said, I decided to take the pass on movies with shallow stories and mindless action. Just download and viewed Downton Abbey, New Era. I actually enjoyed it. I think I'm losing my mind. Now I'm watching the original series. Downton Abbey is really good.
The new movie isn't doing as well as the old one, but it's a lot of years
What's
have passed.
What's the old one?
There was a
2019?
movie is older than that, but there was a movie a couple years. I've never seen a single. I know nothing about Downton Abbey other than it was very popular. I've never seen a bit of it.
I think I remember seeing a movie in 2019. But that's it. I didn't know there was another one. Yeah. But yeah, I really like the series.
I've never seen it. Maybe I'll have to watch it. It's kind of
someday. Maybe women like it more. It's more like subtle dialogue, drama type stuff. F off said, people who suck at their job complain about everything other than themselves. Movies are meant to distract us from life, just like going fishing, shooting, or snowboarding. Same thing. No.
I agree more with him than
because
you.
Even let's talk about fishing, shooting, or snowboarding. Those are activities that change you as a person.
Yes.
Regardless, they give you maybe team skills, like physical effort is required, which strengthens your body.
Yes.
Risk taking, which is like it builds a virtue in you of like bravery, fortitude. Fishing would require patience, etc. Like I could go on. Yeah. Your hobbies are not meant to just distract you. There are things that engage you fully, and a movie being something that you just sit there and like mindlessly observe, like,
and I do
that's
okay
not
let me rephrase also that I think that Marvel is particularly bad at this about the way they make their movies, meaning that there are some actual good ones like Captain America Winter Soldier, which is essentially a spy / political thriller, and there's some great concepts that are talked about in these movies about dedication to the idea of right and wrong as opposed to dedication to the idea of the nation you serve, right? There's great themes there. Do most movies hit that mark in a way that's that manages to not feel like it's laden down? Like nowadays, that movie was made in, I believe, 2014. Thank you. That movie was made in 2014. I don't buy that they would be able to make that movie now without giving it like a weird left-right political narrative that included the word fascist 10,000 times. Fascist. They'd say it 10,000 times, and it would not be well made. Always comes back to the dialogue here. I'm not talking about just being full of explosions and CGI, blah, blah, blah. You can make these movies like that film, which is a lot of explosions and a lot of CGI, but there is a message underlying there that does not necessarily tell you what is right and what is wrong. Okay, that can be done. So I agree with you on that part that maybe the goal shouldn't be that there's none of it, but the goal should be that it allows you to make up your mind for yourself, and it presents both sides of the argument where one character isn't mindlessly evil and one character isn't just good, baseline good and nothing else, because that's the most boring part of it, is when the villain is generically evil and the good guy is a good guy Greg Boy Scout who's never done anything wrong in his life. Nobody actually wants stories like that. It's why so many new characters directors today fail. They don't allow that. That's why people hate.
Well, to be fair, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars have always been like that. Like,
Yes.
good and bad are very black and white in those movies, and it works well because they tell a good story around it.
But the story is told extremely well. And then
Right,
that
but you
depends
can
on the-
have narratives that work around that. is what I'm
Yes,
saying.
and then there's going to be, and even then there's going to be people that like Star Trek as opposed to Star Wars, which old Star Trek did better about making it a nuanced argument,
For
right?
sure.
So it's just, I think this comes back to we're getting hung up on the word escapist, and it's more
guess
about
so.
just the concept of these movies. I do agree with you that first of all there is far too much CGI in film today, but in general it shouldn't prevent them from being able to tell a good story.
F off said, if you want to be grounded to reality, there are these things called documentaries or reality shows.
Yes.
Disagree.
Yes to documentaries.
Reality
no to
shows
reality
aren't reality,
Re-
first of all. Documentaries aren't even reality because documentaries all have a preconceived
narrative.
narrative and conclusion that they're trying to push with their representation of real events and conversations. So that's not even true. Sorry, F off. I usually like your takes, but that's not it.
Mary is pushing back today, ladies and gentlemen.
They're not going to like it. Caper2X said, Blazing Saddles will never be made today.
I've never seen Blazing Saddles, but I just know that is the common take is that you would never be able to see that today. So
Never seen it.
all right, we will eventually reignite this discussion someday when me and Mary decide to argue about semantics about escapism in movies again. It's like probably my favorite thing to talk about here.
Yeah.
All right, so Rebel Wilson goes public with girlfriend. A journalist says their publication was going to out the star. So basically what happened was she got interviewed for the, what was it called? The
Sydney Morning Herald.
The Sydney Morning Herald. And the idea here is that they gave her like an ultimatum, basically, which is scummy.
Doesn't make sense because if she doesn't out herself, then then you get the story. But if she outs herself, you don't have your exclusive story anymore. So what was the point of that?
Would the goal be that they're like, we just, not only do we want to break it, we want you to be okay with us breaking
Also, it wasn't even like, I feel like the age of like coming out does not exist anymore
I know.
just because it's so normal that it's not even like, this is just so blown out of proportion.
And like I said, I have like dual minds about most of this. On one hand, I do think I was immediately suspicious because it was Pride Month and it felt with a new movie coming out, so I was automatically suspicious. But at the same time, if I'm to take everything that's said here as gospel, it's not the newspaper's job to blackmail her and make public what is essentially her right and her business to keep to herself. So, in either way, I'm more likely to hate the newspaper for being scummy than I am to hate like her for not wanting her private business made public. Does it annoy me when they use it for personal gain and advertising? Yes.
Do you think
absolutely.
she's doing that and that maybe this was all planned?
That's why, like, without knowing the answer, I have a hard time leaving it as like, if it is, that is a scummy thing to do.
I thought I was cynical. Come on.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't we cover something that was similar to this before? I might be going crazy, but I feel like I remember
In what way? Like it was somebody like
some kind of like a publication that was blackmailing somebody for to like break their story.
as much as I rag on celebrities, I hate shitty journalists even more.
I just hate this paparazzi culture, the celebrity worship. Like, I've never understood it. I've never been interested in it.
Yep.
Why do they have to go in and just get in the business of people that's very personal stuff that it's like,
Maybe
why are we doing this?
I'm reading too much into it, but like because celebrities are deified, you have to like vilify whatever you deify if what you deified is
Breaks
not
from what
worthy
you-
of it.
yeah.
And
Nope.
if a celebrity is being worshipped and they're not worthy of that type of attention,
Which none of them are.
Which none of
they're
them
just
are.
normal people.
you end up hating them.
Yep.
It makes sense because they didn't live up to the expectation that you had of them. Maybe I'm just reading too much into that, but that's how I feel about
I
it.
found that maybe the thing I find most draining is the people who just love I find it weird when like when normal people like ship other celebrities together. Like, oh my god, this couple is everything. I'm like, dude,
It's
go
just-
outside.
Women used to be able to matchmake in their secluded communities, so now they have to do this with celebrities. It makes sense.
Shipping ruined the world. It really did. The Sydney Morning Herald's Andrew Hornery, that name, in a column written this weekend, revealed that in an abundance of caution, the newspaper emailed Rebel Wilson's representatives on Thursday morning, and later that same day, the actress reportedly decided to go public on Instagram. In the opinion piece, Hornery called the move from Wilson, quote, a big mistake, and claimed threatening to out her was a non-issue because sexual orientation is no longer something to be hidden. I agree with him. It doesn't give him a right to just make her business public.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it says she likes Fruit Loops in the morning. Like, why do you get to say that? Why do you get to report on that?
It's weird. In the reporter's piece with his outlet, he also claimed that when the actress, now in her 40s, was previously in a relationship with businessman Jacob Bush, she happily fed such prurient interest by entertaining press about pairing. Thank you. By entertaining press about the pairing. Following the Herald's publishing of the column, backlash has surfaced across the web, with people rushing to the side of Wilson for apparently being pressured to discuss a private matter publicly. That is as far as I will go to defend her. Otherwise, these people live by the sword and they die by the sword, meaning that they do not exist without the press. The press does not, depending on your area of expertise, an entertainment journalist does not exist without them. We fall into that category in a lot of ways, but we're not asking for exclusives from these people. We're just analyzing what's going on as they relate to the media.
I mean, it's fine to inquire for a story, but if you're trying to blackmail someone, is that not illegal?
It should be.
Isn't that illegal? Am I crazy? I'm not the legal expert here, but
we would need to like have somebody talk about like a legal expert come on here and tell us First Amendment protections are very vast and wide. And I think that's why so many journalists get away with so much in this country.
Yeah.
But I would also rather have that than a censored press. So I'm very worried about.
I see the main threat to freedom of speech right now is more compelled speech than censorship. I mean, they're both really bad right now, but the compelled speech thing is becoming more and more common.
It's one thing for your post to be deleted by Facebook or some amorphous social media company. It's another thing where society as a whole pressures
where
you.
Real people are personally threatening you to say something.
It's easy to be angry, and it makes sense to be angry at the industry, at entertainment reporters, at a newspaper, at a company. It's a lot more to me heartbreaking that you have to be angry at individual people that are compelling you to say something. Mm-hmm. So it says the Australian performer has also shared that she feels she is an equal partnership in a healthy relationship now. This is purportedly different from what she experienced in the past when she was putting up with things she shouldn't have. The Pitch Perfect alum still showed love for her exes, saying they're great, but her new partner, it seems like a balance to the partnership that's really clicking for her. That's fine and good. I wonder if, to me, this is one of those things where, like I said, I think that she has used these rumors in the past to fuel, whether it's to increase your public profile and make you more attractive to people looking to give you roles. She's already spoken out about how losing weight affected her ability to get roles in movies because she was typecast as like the overweight girl.
Yeah, I was less sympathetic to that because if you rise to fame looking one way, that's how people are always going to perceive you, the way that they first saw you.
But what's interesting about that is it used to be something to praise when somebody lost a bunch of weight and changed their life. And now between the people who tell her that she's bad because she's no longer a role model, I feel like I have at least the slightest bit of sympathy.
Who was that's the thing, who was calling Rebel Wilson a role model, or Adele, or any of these people?
Yeah. So it says I just want to go on about. So basically, they this guy, what was his name again? It was Andrew Hornery. They suspended this guy for his article, for the emails. So it says, we'll go down here. In response to the subsequent, Hornery went on to criticize Wilson, saying that instead, we'll read this from the top. Okay, so the social media post was met with an outpouring of well wishes. They're talking about her coming out. But it was later revealed by the Sydney Morning Herald that the paper knew about the relationship before Wilson went public in a private Sydney column posted on Saturday and since removed. The SMH's Andrew Hornery wrote, "It was with an abundance of caution and respect that this media outlet emailed Rebel Wilson's representatives on Thursday morning, giving her 2 days to comment on her new relationship with LA leisure wear designer Ramona Agruma before publishing a single word." So if you're looking at it from their perspective, they're like, look, we have this information. Would you like to leave a comment? That sounds fairly benign. But then when you look at it from her perspective, it's, we have this information. Leave a comment or else.
Well, but it's not, leave a comment, and if you don't, then we won't publish it. We're going to publish it regardless.
So the question is, does she have if she did not volunteer this information to them, do they owe her pulling the story at all?
Morally,
well, where did they get the information in the first place?
I do not know.
Because if she was just in public spaces with this person, and paparazzi happened to see that, that's still publicly available
information.
So
do they owe her? Do you believe that they owe her to pull the story if she requests it because it's private information?
I don't. If they found it out in a public way, then it's not private.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they shouldn't have published it.
But on a moral level, you believe
ethically, I think, yeah,
that if she requested, look, please don't run this story.
Absolutely.
It would, yeah. I tend to fall closer on that side. That if she asked respectfully to do so, then to do so. Also, you have to put into is this really the biggest story in the world? It's not like they're breaking some big scandal. She's saying look, this is my private life. This isn't something that I did to someone else. This isn't some crazy story about something that happened. It's just something about me. I think that they owed it to her.
Sure. I mean, to us, it's not a huge story, but to her, it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I also still have questions. Look, it happened during Pride Month, which is a very opportune time. And it happened around the time that a new movie is coming out. So I do wonder, knowing that these people use media the way they do as a means of promoting themselves, if it's not all a huge kerfuffle that's meant to bring up us talking, that's literally designed to get us to do exactly what we're doing, which is talk about it right now, right?
Yeah, which does reek of some kind of PR stunt.
Exactly.
I'm not really sure. Also, I just pulled up Andrew Hornery's Twitter, and it says that his account is restricted.
I'm sure he's getting hate mail from people.
Maybe he's being mass reported or something.
Probably.
But he got ratioed really bad because he posted his article that he ended up publishing, and he's getting destroyed in the quote tweets right now.
So it says in a subsequent Twitter post by 10 News journalist Katie Doak, I wonder if she's related to Dr. Doak from the GoldenEye video game. No? Nobody?
Nobody.
Said it wasn't Wilson's choice to come out and that the actress wrote it was a very hard situation, but trying to handle it with grace. Sydney Morning Herald editor Bevan Shields defended the paper's actions, writing on Sunday, like other mastheads do every day, we simply ask questions and as a standard practice include a deadline for response. I have made no decision about whether or what to publish and the Herald's decision about what to do would have been informed by any response, Wilson supplied. Hornery, in a piece published Monday afternoon local time, entitled, I made mistakes over Rebel Wilson and will learn from them. He is getting ready to bow down to the altar of angry internet culture. We mishandled steps in our approach. He continued, it is not the Herald's business to out people, and that is not what we set out to do. But I understand why my email has been seen as a threat. The framing of it was a mistake. This goes back to, I don't know if this was you that I was talking to yesterday about just how insufficient and inadequate the ability to communicate online actually is, meaning that the inability to understand tonal context and what you mean by saying something just with the lack of eye contact, facial expressions, and tone of your voice makes any type of communication liable to be something that's deconstructed by whoever's reading it. So
not
she
only
took
that,
it the way
it
that
also is changing how we do face-to-face interaction.
Yes.
We speak in a text way.
Yep. Oh, my biggest complaint is people who talk like they're on Twitter in real life. I'm like, dude, that's not how actual human beings talk in the real world. Sorry.
I mean, I think this reaction might have been a little over dramatic from the replies I'm looking at right now. Someone said, maybe you should have sent the note using letters cut from magazines or included a relative's severed finger.
Oh my
like,
God.
it's really not that serious.
No.
It was never that serious. The
15
guy just doesn't
years-
know how to write an email in the correct way. Like,
15 years ago, this would have been a lot bigger deal. Now
yeah,
it's
no
like,
one even comes out anymore. Like, what does that even mean?
like
That was a thing for maybe like 10 years or something.
earlier somebody posted like a picture from like one of the Pride events, and it was like Christina Aguilera performing. Remember? And I was like, I didn't even know.
I
Yeah,
remember.
it was
Not going to forget that one.
not gonna
anytime
forget
soon.
that picture. Don't go look it up. But I was like, I didn't even know she was LGBTQIA, and you're like, I don't think she is. And like, oh, okay.
And then
Like,
at that point, it's just like, well, who even cared or asked?
yeah, nobody cares. It's like no normal people are too if normal people are too busy to go watch movies with heavy messaging, they certainly don't give a crap who you sleep with. They just
Someone
don't.
else said, hey, journalist, learn to code. How do you feel
Oh.
about former journalists invading the
You're
As
coding
long as they
world?
as long as they learn properly and can do the job, that's
I don't
great.
think they can.
Well, probably not, but you got to give them a shot.
they'll write hit pieces on the code.
I'm not going to go easy on them. I'll tell you that.
They're gonna write hit pieces on you when you.
It's time for coding boot camp.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get their own Substacks, and then once they
True.
get a Substack, they'll write hit pieces on
Okay.
coders.
Now, some of these replies, they're just making me like completely for the Sydney Morning Herald. Like, they're just being so
What are they saying?
over dramatic. Someone said, threatening to out a person is an act of emotional violence. Like, emotional violence is
I love it. I love it.
that doesn't make any sense.
There was this is a slightly off topic. There was like an article I found today where it asked if Clint Barton in the Marvel movies was emotionally cheating on his wife by having like a close relationship with Natasha because they're like really good friends in the movies, and then like she sacrifices herself. It's like these people who have never actually struggled or faced any adversity in their
This
life.
is like when you have a dream about a different girl and your girlfriend is like, "You did what now?"
You did what? You're mind cheating.
Right.
Mind cheating. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Emotional violence is just, those words don't go together. And then someone replied to that, it's violent, period. Actual violence.
Yep, that's the world we live in now. Where
It compromises their safety.
Burn
Like,
down-
I don't think that Rebel Wilson in Australia was in any danger because people found out that she had a girlfriend.
my favorite thing in the world now is the hyperbolic nature of threatening your safety when they say something, and I'm like, from who? Like, they say that about everything. They're like, it causes like when Dave Chappelle insults a bunch of people, they're like he risked their safety. I'm like, how? In what way? Nobody can ever give you a straight answer. There's like, he just
At
did.
this point, silence is violence. Words are violence. Pretty much anything but actual violence is violence.
And violence is only violence.
And
if
violence, yeah.
Real violence is justified.
Violence is only violence if power plus privilege is involved in the
Yeah.
violence.
Yep.
So
My favorite was the did you guys ever see the thing about the like when in Minneapolis when the riots were going on, and it says mostly peaceful protest, and it's the reporter like this, and there's literally a building burning down behind him.
we're getting spicy.
Yes,
we're getting
spicy. All right, back to it. There were some super chats in there.
Let me look.
Ooh,
F off said, Mary thinks too deep on simple subjects. Movies are a hobby you go because people want to do something fun that will distract them. The same endorphins are released doing other activities.
I think there's something to be said about the concept
F
that
off, I think that you are simplifying deep subjects. Maybe.
fight
Or
fight,
both.
fight. Okay, no. I think that the general idea here is that like the film nerd who goes to a movie will look for something different than the mom bringing two kids who's just going there to distract the kids and do something on a Saturday afternoon.
Is it possible that different humans have different experiences
That
when
is-
they view the same movie? Is
that
that
is crazy.
possible?
Yes.
I'm just throwing this idea out here.
It absolutely. If there's people that like The Last Jedi, then yes.
Exactly.
That I knew you'd appreciate that one. That wouldn't have been my go-to example, but I
Yeah,
knew you'd appreciate
course.
that one.
All I'm saying is that movies and entertainment and all hobbies are supposed to edify you, not just distract you. That's just a fact.
Debatable.
Do you think Star Wars edifies you?
I think there was some deeper meaning. But I mean, any good fantasy still is meant to leave you with some kind of moral or message or something
absolutely.
like
That's
that.
why I'm saying it's an edifying activity to watch this movie or read this book.
Do you think that's
or-
the main purpose, though?
Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know if I believe that it's the main purpose. I would believe that it would be a hopeful byproduct, not necessarily the main purpose for most people.
I mean, when people hear the word edify, they just think harangued, and that's not what things
You're using a
used to
lot
be
of
like.
words I don't even know. So
I know,
Let me rephrase.
like
I think-
beaten with messaging. That's what I mean. Like that is where people their minds start to go, but that's not how it used to be.
Let me rephrase that. I think that the filmmaker wants that. I think that the average that the filmmaker hopes that a portion of the audience will care enough to look that deeply, but that the average audience isn't that group. It's like when we talk about artists who make art for artists as opposed to artists who make art for consumers. I think that the filmmaker deep down wants the audience to connect on a deeper level. I don't know if I believe that most people in the audience actually want that entirely.
I don't know.
So
This is making me think of like Charlie Chaplin and like silent movies. He was a comedian and he did like physical comedy and stuff like that, but he also made movies, like silent movies that without words actually had like really deep messages and morals involved. Like I watched The Kid and loved it, and that's just something that our culture like used to have, like stories like that had humor and meaningful messages.
okay, here's an idea. It would be cool to go look through a list of like blockbuster movies from like the last 20 years, and we watch them and review them and look for deeper and see if we can pull out a
See if
deeper
we're capable of
message.
that.
Well, see it. Well, yeah. Like I can think of some off the top of my head that I could definitely do that with. But would you be interested, chat people, if for us to maybe look through and review some movies and see if we can find deeper meaning, and then figure out whether that is us reading too much into it, or if we actually think that that's what the filmmaker intended for us to find.
Yeah, and it's not always their intention, because people can't make something that doesn't mean something. I don't think it's possible to make something meaningless, even if the meaning is unintentionally there.
I agree. All right, we're gonna. Andrew's gonna get very angry here in about 10
this
seconds.
is the real reason I'm
Let's
here
go!
today.
Are you ready, Andrew?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay,
We
so
love making our guests angry and upset.
we do. So apparently, after 4 episodes in which the character of Riva impressed nobody and did nothing impressive on screen and was utterly forgettable, they have decided that that is the perfect time to introduce a Riva spin-off series, or so this rumor tells us.
They chose
right?
such a horrible picture for this headline.
It's
where she just looks like the most bland character ever.
She always actually that bottom picture is a little bit better. Though it's really dark here. This one here, that's like the
Yeah.
most. That's like literally the most expression I can
I was gonna
remember.
say she doesn't have too many other facial expressions. in
Yeah,
the
I
show.
think that's all you got.
All right, look. Before Disney,
Not to hate.
Disney starts their initial campaign where they try to attempt to cast off any criticism of anything as some type of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, whatever phobia they think you have. I want somebody who is, if you consider yourself neutral, to watch these 4 episodes and tell me if they honestly believe that the performance given in this show by this character, by this actress, is actually something that was special enough to warrant the type of attention that a concept like that of giving her own show actually makes sense. Does it actually make sense that a character that is objectively astroturfed entirely by sites like Screen Rant or CBR, there's no actual excitement behind this character? Is this the actress's fault? Maybe. Is it the writer's fault? Absolutely. It does not equate. Nothing here equates to actually giving her own spin-off. That's the definition of astroturfed and manufactured.
Even if that's not the case, the show is called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
People are watching it to see Obi-Wan Kenobi, big surprise, and Darth Vader. They're not watching it to see a new character and then suddenly decide, oh, I want to see way more of this and no more Obi-Wan.
It should have been called Kenobi and Friends.
Yes.
That's what they should have called it. A new rumor. And guys, this is a rumor. It
That would
says-
match the tone as well.
I know, right? A new rumor claims that wrapping her time as the main character of...
They just admit it. They just come right out and say it.
Okay, this is bounding into comics, which means that this was definitely a shot taken at the
Which
show.
is, of course, why they chose that image for the cover.
Yes. A new rumor claims that after wrapping her time as the main character of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the third sister of the Imperial Inquisitors, otherwise known as Reva, will headline her own spin-off series on Disney+. Nobody will watch it, and it will be astroturfed into oblivion. Word of a potential spin-off for Moses Ingram's Reva was first uttered by entertainment news outlet Screen Geek, who on April 9th exclusive reported that according to their sources, a Reva spin-off series starring Moses Ingram is in development for Disney+. I need to okay. I want them to point to me to a single scene. Like, I want them to, when you see a performance,
I'm the one who's supposed to be mad.
I want them to point me to the scene. Like, there's got to be at least one scene that they can point to where they're like, this was the scene where we knew that she was more than just a sideline character in an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Can anybody actually?
It was when she said, "Let's make those tears real."
Yeah. Do you like pain, Leia? Well, obviously we're gonna get that beautiful scene.
You are seizing right now.
Obviously, we're gonna get that scene in one of the last 2 episodes remaining. It's gonna be beautiful. You're gonna cry.
I want a spinoff just about them filming that interrogation scene, where she says that line and doesn't throw up from like that, and that's not her fault. That's just crappy writing. It doesn't even sound like Star Wars. Let's make those tears No, nobody actually.
She was casted after the script was written, right?
I would assume so.
Not sure.
And she knew what she was getting into. So
it says, unfortunately, outside its supposed existence, Screen Geeks admitted that they were unable to get any plot details regarding the spinoff. A lack of information, which they particularly noted, left unclear. Thank you. Was whether the series will be set on or after Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we also should we share with them the spoilers?
I think we have to talk about it a little bit. Okay. So we're going to talk about potential leaks, unverified, about the conclusion of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Do you want to talk this one through?
Sure. So if you're worried about being spoiled, again, potentially this is unconfirmed, then mute for a little while.
And maybe just actually go and see a doctor if you care about what happens in this show. You may be suffering from a condition. I'm just saying. Okay.
So that being said, so I'm not going to go through all of this, but what it boils down to in relation to Reva is that towards the end of the show, she kind of comes around and basically she's hunting down Luke Skywalker, realizes that she can't bring herself to kill him, and then she
because they can't make her the bad guy.
Of course. So she goes back to Vader.
Independent women. Don't need no man. Vader's the bad guy.
She goes back to Vader. She lies to him. She says that she killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. Darth Vader finally realizes that she's a failure and was lying to her and kills her. So if that's true, if they're going to do a spin-off series, it clearly has to take place before this show.
There could be like we don't know much about the origins other than that scene at the very beginning, right, of episode 1.
And even that is conjecture. So we've talked about this in the separate reviews, but there's a scene at the very start of the show that shows younglings in the Jedi Temple running away from Order 66. The theory is that one of those children is Reva.
Yes.
So she escaped from that. So maybe we'll see some, more about that side of the story.
If I don't see a bunch of little crap heads at Halloween this year dressed up as Reva, I'm calling BS. We talked about Mary's. You've got a brother who actually likes this show.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't imagine why, but he does.
But he does. Okay. So I admit that there's a generational gap in a lot of this stuff. Like Miss Marvel. It's not for me. I understand that there's probably kids that like it. If I don't see a whole flock of Reva cosplay...
I think you need only look at the toy stores that have had aisles
full
of sequel trilogy toys that did not sell.
We're so far out from when Star Wars originally came out and like the original movies were important to kids that like my brother who I'm talking about is already 18 and his first introduction to Star Wars was Clone Wars, which is already like not... It was tangentially related.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not that old. I feel it, but I'm not that old. And I still go back to the originals. So
sure. It's
just
like if your
first
impression of it is that, then you're not going to be invested in it enough to see why like plot discrepancies or character
They won't care
arc
as much.
discrepancies
right.
would matter.
And to be fair, like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings do kind of inhabit those very, very vocal, very, very passionate fans that care a lot about canon, that care a lot about story, that care, that the
It's
things
me.
that and to me and you, that's a good thing. But to Disney, they don't care. They don't care, and they never will care. And in something like this, I have to ask if this is something that anybody. Do you think this is part of the manufacturer?
That's what, I don't understand where this comes from. And it's the same thing with Andor, where it's a spin-off of a character from a spin-off. And I'm just like...
It's manufactured
is
fanfare.
asking?
These people are not real. These tweets are not
It's
real.
dead
here's,
internet.
Here's my theory, okay?
Dead internet.
The excitement about Reva and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was manufactured by Disney, okay?
Because
this
God
this is all
forbid-
conjecture, hypothetical. And then someone else at Disney who was unaware of that saw all of it and was like, whoa, we have to make a show about her. People love her.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
This reminds me. There was a phase that DC had where anytime a character got a little bit of traction, they're like, we're gonna make a spin-off movie and a spin-off series,
Or
and it would
when-
never actually happen.
when Morbius memes take off.
When Morbius memes take off, and then we covered an article the other day where they tried to do it a third. They tried to trick
It's
Sony a
Morbin
third.
time
A
again.
third, it's Morbin times 3.
Right.
So this can't be real. Like this, it has to be manufactured. And to me, I just say it's still not even her show. It's supposed to be about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Didn't we joke about this happening in our reviews?
Yes,
Like-
I was like, they'll
Yeah.
probably give her a spin-off. So let's go back to some of these from this one says. So the show has an 87% tomato meter from critics, of course, 54% from audiences because audiences know that this is horrible, and it's still not like I said. He's not on screen that much.
No.
It ends up being her and who's the other one? Tal is on screen a lot.
Not as it seems to be like Reva, Leia, and Obi-Wan share about the same amount of screen time.
And they do this with a lot of these shows because I don't know if it's my cynical side that says they're like we can't have like straight white male leads anymore because that's problematic. I don't know if that's true. I can't substantiate that.
I don't even want to look at it that way.
Exactly, but the idea is that it can be anything but the original trilogy because they don't want the original trilogy to succeed. They want to use the name of the original trilogy, but they don't want
course.
to actually use the original trilogy characters in a way that honors them or respects them. So some of these comments are really funny. It says, a spin-off of a lazily written character. No, I'm good. Where can we shoehorn another's, what is it CL Force? I don't know what that is.
Say that again?
It says, where can we shoehorn another CL Force user that won't fit into the Star Wars lore timeline? Is CL...
I actually don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. So it says, we get this, but not a Vader series. How do you not do a Vader
That's
series?
exactly what I said last review we did.
It says, oh God, no, and also good job spoiling Obi-Wan, since now we know Reva lives until the end. We don't know that for sure. And then somebody also points out, it says, sure, and that Rian Johnson trilogy is right around the corner. It does feel like it's literally being done out of spite by Lucasfilm, LTD. Like, it's not actually going to get made. It's just them being spiteful of the fact that they think people don't like her.
Don't make us do it. We'll do it to you.
That's what it feels like to me. Well, that's what I think of anytime Kathleen Kennedy does anything.
Yeah.
It says, what if it's a new character and a new show, then will I watch? I can't actually read. That doesn't look like real language. I can't spin. This is literally what it should have been in the first place. I'm really interested in watching her own show.
That's what it should have been in the first
But there's
place.
no reason for her to be so prominent in Obi-Wan, where all we want and expected was to see him in Vader. So he's right about that. I don't believe him in the first
I
part
thought
of
this
that.
was going to become satire.
Yeah.
What would
I was waiting for the
What
for
would
the
have been
punchline.
the context to have that in the first place?
Because nobody would know who she is because she's new to the...
Like, seriously, why would that have been what it was in the first place?
Well, it wouldn't be called Obi-Wan Kenobi, but you could do a show about the Jedi Hunters.
She's definitely the most interesting Inquisitor, in my opinion, so this could be cool to see. I want to know what makes her interesting.
These people aren't real. They're not real.
Like the Sung Kang's like the character as the other Inquisitor who looks way cooler and talks way cooler is infinitely more interesting.
Well, he also has screen time in the show Rebels, which I haven't seen personally.
So why not? Or how about this? Make a show about the Inquisitors. Could you do
That's
that?
what I mean.
That's
Yeah,
an
I think
idea.
you could. Yeah,
No, like about all of them.
sure.
Like-
yeah,
But
why
then
not?
you wouldn't have the name Kenobi in the title.
Well, I'm
But
saying like,
now they're not going to for this spin-off either. So how's that going to work out?
oh, here's the scene where she's. It's so bad. Maybe they should do a scene where she learns how to use the lightsaber. That's what they should. There should be a whole show with her learning how to use a lightsaber. So
maybe they should have shot that one first.
is there a way that they could actually make it? How about this? Is there a way they could actually make it interesting to you and actually have it be fun?
This spin-off show?
Yes. Is that possible?
I mean,
With a different actress?
if you make
DeWanda Wise?
DeWanda Wise. Guys, just a little retcon here, guys. Just get rid of Moses Ingram. No hatred on Moses Ingram. She's probably got a fantastic career coming doing something else. Just not this, and hire DeWanda Wise from Jurassic World Dominion and give the show to her. I will watch it.
I'll watch it too.
And we didn't talk about this in the reviews, but Moses Ingram in Queen's Gambit is really, really good.
I've never seen Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, she's fantastic in that.
So she's
it's a role that suits her.
What does she do in that?
She's like
they like play chess and stuff.
they
right?
play chess. And
That
stuff.
feels like
She's one of the lead character's friends, but she does very well.
so she can act. It's just that she's miscast. That's not like a myth. That's not like something people just say. There is such a thing as miscasting people for roles.
For sure.
And she is just miscast in this role. Hire DeWanda Wise. She is fantastic. She would be great for this. So that's how you fix it. You change the actress and you make the
agree.
show. And then even then, most people are going to be like, this is still not real. Nobody actually wants to see this. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So, all right. Let's go on and let's do.
We got super chats.
Oh, let's go for it.
Alan Rogers said, gotta be careful to make sure we're not just looking for messages we approve of and branding everything else as mindless media. I think I'm just like very contrarian today, like, and every day, but today especially because I feel like, I don't know, we should be looking for messages we approve of.
I didn't realize this was such a contentious topic.
I like it.
It became that way. It wasn't at first, but like, I will look for messages I approve of. Yes, I will.
I like that we're having the discussion. Like, it would be very easy for this to be one thing where like everybody just agrees, like, yeah, this is stupid, but we don't. We don't all agree on it, and that's fine. That's the beauty of doing this.
IFID said rock music ruined by guitars. Viola probably.
See, I thought that comma probably was going to become a bigger thing on the internet because that was like what everybody was doing around like election time was like it's like so and so dash and then probably, and it's something they clearly never said, but it sounds about right. All right, keep
Waffle
going.
Sensei said the theory on Disney manufacturing the Moses Ingram hate campaign has never been more obvious.
They refuse to acknowledge the fact that people love what's his name, Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. They refuse to admit that people love James Earl Jones, albeit not being physically on screen, as Darth Vader. They just want
Mace Windu. I mean, come on.
Exactly. They just want you to be angry, and they want you to complain because they know that they can use it as cover for their products when they eventually don't do well, because they know that nobody actually resonates with these characters. Don't actually resonate with anyone.
Caper2X said, hey, what about an equal footing review for Orville Season 3 and the new Star Trek Strange New Worlds? They're good.
We're going to review. I'm making Mary watch a movie called Hustle on Netflix. I give it my highest recommendation, but we're going to talk about it more in depth on the show once Mary sees it. I want to get her opinion on it.
Yeah.
I want to do a sports movie. Like, I would love to just review sports movies. I love sports movies because it's
The Blind Side.
I've never seen. I love sports movies because it tends to be a more basic storytelling approach where it's about person has to overcome something, team has to overcome something, and then they either overcome it or they don't. And I love the simplicity of it.
Might be my least watched genre.
Yeah. It happens. That's all right. All right, let's move on. But possibly, maybe we could do a review of the Orville. We'll look into it. We'll have to find something that everybody wants to watch and review. So let's go do Podluck. We've got. Oh, we also had
this
the.
This is a good Podluck today.
Yes, we did. You want to start with Justin Bieber? I felt weird covering this because there's not really much to say other than he got sick.
Other than haha funny Justin Bieber suffering.
I don't feel that way, but
No.
everybody else feels that way. There's a lot of people.
Only Mary.
I said to Mary earlier, I said, I find him to be one of the more authentic and honest people. Or is honest the word that it's like, he feels more sincere.
Sure.
He feels more sincere than your average celebrity.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I can't honestly say, but I don't want to see anyone get sick. But he's got a rare
Can
condition.
we show the video where he's...
I think we can play the video here. We'll turn the audio on, guys. So first of all, he's got a condition. It's called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, which is a form of facial paralysis. And this was a big deal because people were asking, fair questions about what caused this just a couple months after his wife had was it a stroke or a...
Yeah, I think she had a stroke.
She had a stroke. So let's watch it here.
Hey everyone, Justin here. I wanted to update you guys on what's been going on. Obviously, as you can probably see from my face, I have this syndrome called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome.
It's most noticeable when he's
And
blinking.
It is from
Yeah, and like
this
looking in different directions.
virus that attacks the nerve in my
His
ear.
one eye moves slower than
Yeah.
the other
facial
one.
nerves, and has caused my face to have paralysis. As you can see, this eye is not blinking. I can't smile on this side of my face. This nostril will not move. So there's full paralysis in this side of my face. So for those who are frustrated by my cancellations of the next shows, I'm just physically, obviously not capable of doing
Yeah,
it.
so I don't know. Like, is this people were asking fair questions, like what caused this? I don't. I dare not speculate for whatever reason.
Is he saying like chicken pox?
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk about it. So it says he explains it. He demonstrates what happens. And he calls it. He tells them what it is. It's called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome type 2, which occurs when chickenpox and shingles virus reactivates in adults, specifically affecting facial. Thank you. Specifically affecting facial nerves and causing a full half of your face to freeze up. I mean, it's similar to Bell's palsy in that.
I was going to
case.
say, so I've actually had Bell's palsy.
Oh, you have?
Indeed. When I was in high school. Which
Okay.
it lasted for about 3 weeks. About pretty much the same symptoms we see here, where like half your face is just numb and
What?
unusable. Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah.
You realize how much you
How
can't
do you know when it will stop?
Because you can
You
use your
just-
And
face again. Like I had to drink out
It
of a
just
straw
was
for 3
random?
weeks because if you try to drink out of a glass, water spills out half of your face.
And it can be permanent for some
So,
people. I know
yes,
Jim Ross, the
wow.
professional wrestling announcer, had it on the side of his face.
I never found out what the cause of it was for me. It's often attributed to Lyme disease as a side effect.
And he had
which I
Lyme disease,
so
right?
Maybe it's
He
sure.
did, yeah. I mean, he still does, I believe. That's what he was saying in a video I was looking at earlier from 2020.
Yeah.
He said he tours in a specific way that he can like rest because he has Lyme disease.
So it says it occurs when chickenpox and shingles virus reactivates in adults, specifically affecting facial nerves and causing a full half of your face to freeze up. In the case you needed something else to be freaked out by today, that's not very nice article. What the hell? Who wrote this? AV Club wrote this. The
This is
AV Club is
journalism in 2022.
AV Club is usually one of the most pretentious, like
Some of these publications allow their journalists to like use curse words, like uncensored curse words.
How about the
and
fact
things
that they
like
use the word
Yeah,
in a
like they
printed
they
piece?
do that a lot.
which is
Is
like it's meant
why?
because it's meant to be snarky
But let's
I
be fair, like
understand,
I
but-
used the word hella on timcast.com
and got
once
away with it.
and got away with
Got
it.
away with it. Mary is a ninja.
Mhm.
She was able to sneak it in there.
No one even knew.
In the beginning, Bieber talked straight to the camera, revealing clearly the muscles on the right side of his face appear to be functionally immobile. Basically, what they're saying is it will go back to normal for him. He will regain use of his facial muscles in due time. It says it will go back to normal, Bieber said in the video, which has been viewed by 15 million people. Like, who are we to criticize him if 15 people are watching him make videos about stuff on Instagram? We got nothing.
Yeah.
It will take time, and we don't know how much time that's going to be, but it's going to be okay. And I have hope. I trust God, and I trust that this all is for a reason. I'm not sure what that is right now, but in the meantime, I'm going to rest. So it said he had COVID, I believe, at one point, and then his wife had a not a tumor.
She had stroke.
She has stroke.
A stroke.
And that was just a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not doing well right now. So he's postponing shows, and people were pissed about it. So a lot of people were making comments that could have been due to something that was both safe and effective.
Well,
I don't know if that's true.
I see a lot of people saying, this sort of thing doesn't happen to young people. I mean, I was like 14 when I had my face randomly go numb.
Was it completely random?
As far as I know, we never found anything that.
And then they just told you like, oh, just wait for it to stop.
Pretty much, which
like
as a
weird.
kid, you're like,
what? Do you
what?
mean?
Yeah, like, oh, just wait a few weeks, you'll be fine.
What?
Which it turned out I was, but
That's
they're just
so
guessing.
Weird.
They're like, I hope.
Yeah, probably. Like if you die, whatever,
That it just like comes randomly and then leaves you randomly. Like that's scary.
And it's like for him, his profession literally requires him to be very, very articulate, and he has to have like the use of his facial muscles is paramount to what he does for a living.
You can't even lip sync with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So I don't know what to do. You agree with me that he seems more like realistic? Like, does he feel more genuine than your average celebrity?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he's also like unapologetically religious. Like he talks a lot about like maybe, and that's like you get pushback from that in that industry.
I always thought that he had some kind of like sincerity.
Yeah.
You can tell if it's something that people don't like them for.
Yeah.
That it's real sincerity versus like something contrived.
When he was going through his phase, like I was working for a medical supply company driving, so I was forced to listen to a lot of talk radio at this time, and because like even your music list will get boring when you drive like 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I just remember like everybody was reporting on him doing all this awful stuff, and I remember when someone was like, he peed in a mop bucket. I'm like, oh, he'll be fine, he'll grow out of it. Who doesn't pee in a mop bucket when they're 21 years old at a restaurant? Like I'm sure he paid for a new one. I'm sure. So
I tend to give more leeway to these celebrities who got into the spotlight maybe too young.
Yeah. Yep. And that absolutely happened to him. So, all right. So also, by the way, guys, they are banning Lightyear in Saudi Arabia because there's kissing that's between two girls in this movie, because it's 2022 and people complain about living in America when realistically they don't realize just how good they have it here. Whereas this movie,
I don't know. I'm about to move to Saudi Arabia.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Oh God. Lightyear's the latest film from the studio to be banned in various Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. The Hollywood Reporter's learned. Sources tell THR that the decision is linked to the inclusion of a same-sex kiss in Pixar's Toy Story prequel, the spin-off. Which I had a very hard time explaining to Andrew earlier.
Whoa. Hold on.
This is so simple.
Are we going here? Are we going here?
Yes, we are.
So basically, the idea here is I had to explain to Andrew that.
I can't believe you're doing this to me.
I get it. He didn't. I was like, he doesn't get the. I didn't get it either. The first
we
time.
like to publicly embarrass.
No, you're
our
good.
guests.
We were explaining that this is not based on the toy. It's based on the person.
In the Toy Story universe.
I hope our viewers will forgive me for not knowing the Toy Story extended universe lore. I'm sorry.
He hasn't bought any of the novels.
I haven't seen a Toy Story film in at least a decade.
Yeah, me neither.
Neither have I.
So we'll probably go see it. And review it,
yeah.
So that so we'll see. But basically, they're saying here is Disney refused to cut the scene, which, like I say every time, good on them for sticking by their guns and not kowtowing to somebody else for pressure.
Is this what usually happens? Because I know there've been a lot of cases in the past where they will just cut the scene and be like,
a lot.
Please watch it. Please send us money.
This is becoming more common now, where Disney, whether it's because just the sheer size of Disney, they don't need these markets the way they needed them 10 years ago. They're like, look, we're not going to change it. We're just going to keep it in there. If you don't want it, that's fine. The same thing happens with China all the time. Like China's like, yeah, we're not going to carry this because it's got this in there. And I give them all the credit in the world for sticking by it. Like, I hate it more when they're hypocrites.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I hate it when they're hypocrites. I really do. So as long as they're like being honest.
You feel like good for Disney to stick to their guns in those situations.
And good for the other countries
but,
for sticking to their guns.
Good for Saudi Arabia for sticking to their guns.
I'm saying good for everyone.
My line
of
thinking is like, we need to stop thinking that we can have this like utopia where all media is suitable for all cultures and
Which will
all
never be
people
real.
at all times.
Absolutely.
Children, adults, doesn't matter. Like there is a level of discretion necessary, and you can't just like have all that. You can't be like greedy.
Yep. Lightyear now becomes the latest in a growing list of major Disney features that have faced issues in Gulf countries due to scenes involving LGBTQ references or topics, which often fall afoul of censors for theatrical releases due to homosexuality being officially illegal across the region. Again, people who live here, remember how good you have it when you're on Twitter complaining about how bad everything is here. It's all bad. It's all awful. And then you think about what's going on in Saudi Arabia, and that's what it's like over there. So. They also say it says in January, West Side Story was also stopped from reaching cinema in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait. A lot of these movies are being pulled, and Disney's just like, we make enough money here, we don't need it. So, all right, and then the Paris Hilton. This is my new favorite.
I like this one. We were watching videos of Paris Hilton DJing earlier.
I don't
and
actually know.
I swear she was just dancing.
I never actually, I saw her maybe touch a button once, and I don't know if that, but, I kind of would buy that she's just kind of like a pretty face with a great name, with a really famous name, and that those buttons don't even work, and they just, somebody else made the mix for her.
I mean, frankly, why would she learn the skills if she could just do exactly that?
Yes.
I like to believe that there's just a fog from, dry ice, and then behind that is the actual DJ.
Yes. So it says, imagine this and then say, wah, wah, wah. Paris Hilton says she turned down a DJing gig for President Joe Biden to attend Britney Spears' wedding. Wah, 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 wah. Okay.
In her shoes, I would have done the same thing.
And then I posited this question to Mary. I said, okay, if you had to choose between DJing Britney Spears' wedding or DJing Donald Trump's event, which one do you pick?
It's easier to orchestrate meeting Donald Trump than Britney Spears.
I think so.
So I'd go to Britney Spears.
Oh, that is a hot take. That might be the hottest take ever.
At
on
some
this
point,
channel.
you really just got to pay enough to meet Donald Trump.
That's so.
I know more people that have met Donald Trump than have met Britney Spears.
Make DJing real again when Paris Hilton's not actually doing it. So, so here she is DJing. This is not for that, but she went and she DJ'd for Britney Spears and left Joe Biden in the lurch at his big event. That's just
he was
sad.
so betrayed.
I'm sure
I
he
just don't
was.
understand why the president and a bunch of international diplomats would want to hear EDM at their dinner.
I still think my positive.
It sounds fake.
I think Kamala Harris did it undercover to get Joe Biden to get up there and get a little too excited and then have a health crisis. That's what I think.
He starts partying too hard and his heartbeat just goes out of control.
Somebody just gave him a tab of LSD and he just became
Things get wild at these diplomat parties, I swear.
Trippin' Joe. And then this it says she turned down an invite to DJ at the event for the President of the United States, and then she attended Britney Spears' wedding with her mother. Hilton revealed that her decision during a This Is Paris podcast. Believe it or not, I've never heard an episode of the This Is Paris.
Well, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is it good?
I like it.
Okay. Titled "This Is," we went to a wedding last night that she recorded after returning from Britney Spears' wedding last week. I was actually asked to DJ for the president and all other presidents around the world for the dinner.
All other presidents around the
all
world.
of them, every single
All the presidents
All
everywhere.
the presidents around the world.
It was hot.
It's pretty good, actually.
And it was hot.
It was hot. She said that the 2-minute and 31 mark.
I make myself laugh.
She does, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody makes Mary laugh more than Mary. Hilton was referring to President Joe Biden's dinner welcoming world leaders as part of the 9th Summit of the Americas, which was held the same night as Spears' wedding, according to multiple reports. That's just, I don't know.
Bad luck.
It's bad luck, man. How are you gonna pass up? She could have changed the world by DJing that. I would love to get video of Joe Biden at an EDM concert. Can somebody make that a reality?
He would drop dead.
Well, no, or didn't he meet with BTS recently? Maybe have him
go to a K-pop concert
and get mobbed
have
by
a glow stick.
have him get mobbed by K-pop stands. That would be hilarious. So it says, literally, I did not tell anyone, not even the people I asked for dresses that were sent. My whole team, my glam, my driver, everyone. I was reading something earlier that was really interesting. People of this level of fame, like it said for Mariah Carey to leave the house, it costs about $200,000 just to leave the house.
But that's a choice. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it does
You
not.
know?
But I find it interesting that once you get to that level, that they don't go out of the house for less than $200,000 because between makeup and clothes and driver and security and all these other things that have to happen just for them to be in the public eye.
It's hard to imagine that celebrities of that level are even sane because they don't interact with anyone.
Not that in
Like
a
when
way
we were
that's not in
talking
a
about Oprah
professional sense.
Winfrey saying that she didn't leave her house for what, like 2 years
2
or
years
something?
or something during COVID.
Like, you are not a trustworthy person if you feel like A-okay after that.
Granted, the house
what is
is like
wrong with you?
the house is like the size of a small
I
city.
know,
Right, it
but that's
probably has
even
its own
worse.
zip code,
That's
so-
even worse. You're
Yeah.
just hanging out in a giant, like, concrete fishbowl. That's insane.
Make Howard Hughes rare again. That's what we need. We need to not have everybody have Howard Hughes syndrome and like lock themselves in their home.
Super weird.
Okay, there was a super chat before we go. Unless anybody wants to call up Paris Hilton and see if she wants to DJ for us at any point, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be hot.
That's hot.
John Lee said, just got off work. Here's some money for y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Yes, I think we could, if we could, we might not be able to get Chet Hanks to cameo for us, but maybe we get Paris Hilton to DJ for us.
Please.
Start that fund.
At Brett's birthday bash.
That's exactly what I want for my birthday is a Paris Hilton DJ
Loves
set.
it.
That's exactly what I was. And guys, I do recommend everyone go look at the videos of her DJing and tell me it does not look fake to you. Like it does not look like
She's literally just dancing. I mean, maybe we were saying like benefit of the doubt. She like does the producing beforehand and then just plays them.
Yeah.
And like does a little bit of like crowd hyping.
Yes, she's basically an MC.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Which
right.
is cool.
It's a weird second career to have when you're like a hotel heiress and a reality TV star.
She's busy building her empire.
In that voice every time.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Do you have an update on the game at all?
I really can't talk about
You
too
ask
much.
every
yeah,
time.
you do ask this every time. Eventually,
There's
there will
never
be
an update.
Eventually, there will be a place that I can point people to go to for information. We're not quite there yet, so once I have that information, you will get it. But as always, thanks for letting me on.
Too bad. I'm going to ask every time because
And I still have no social media.
And I asked because you have no social media, so there's no way to.
I'm just trying to make your job as difficult as possible.
It would be like a thing where I'm just like I just look past you and go right to her and be like, and now Mary, because Andrew does not matter. Tell
Yeah,
everyone
let's
your
just
social
act like
media.
you don't
Yeah,
exist.
that's fine too.
All right, Mary, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Instagram and WeChat at Closer Kitty, and whenever I post articles on timcast.com, I promote them there.
Got anything in the works?
Yes, I do. It's on celebrity surrogacy.
We will talk about it tomorrow. I'm sure that won't be controversial at all.
Yeah, that'll be great.
It's going to be fantastic. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic. And then for the show, remember, Monday through Friday, right here on YouTube.com. We are at 3 p.m. That is noon Pacific Standard Time. We are also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch all of this craziness. It is ridiculous. And then also, we are on social media. We're on Twitter at @popculture_show. We are on Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis. And we are on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. And we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.